Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Beaming Podcast. I am really excited for this episode. I feel like I say that about every episode, but this episode in particular is one I've been dropping little gems on in the previous episodes. But we're going to be talking about the phases of our cycle and what we go through as women every single month. And this was such a transformation within my journey because it really helped me have an understanding for my emotions and how I ebb and flow as a woman, and when to give myself more grace and really when to push myself really hard. A really good, loving relationship with mind, body, and spirit, and what we move through within our cycles. We're not just going to be breaking down the biology, but we're going to go into the spiritual meaning behind each one of these things so that we can work with our body and not against it. I know for me and myself, when I'm going through my luteal phase, especially now that I'm about a year and a half almost off birth control, I feel so many ebbs and flows within my emotion, especially when I'm in my luteal phase. And we're going to break each one of these cycles down. But just to give you a personal example, when I'm in my luteal phase, I'm cocooning. I'm about to go into my menstruation. So my body is preparing for a deep bleed, a shedding of layers. So this is where PMS can kind of come up for a lot of women. And I have to remind myself to have grace and just acknowledge myself and have more patience because my patience is running so thin. So this is a really big knowingness. And that's just a brief example of how really understanding the depths of these phases can really help assist you when you feel like you can't even show up for yourself. So let's get into this because I'm really excited to break this down for you all. So I have a bunch of notes over here, but we're going to move through it. So each phase has an element. The follicular phase is air. So this is new beginnings and expansion. Ovulation is fire. It's the creation and the power within, like really focusing on that sacral chakra. The luteal, earth, grounding, preparation, reflection. Menstruation is water, release, intuition, and renewal. And when you think of these words in particular, it really allows you to have a connection to the intention through the phases of whatever cycle you're in. So I think that's a really good tidbit to remember, words of affirmation and ways to align with the energy of what you're attracting within each one of these elements. So let's get into the follicular phase. It's associated with the air element, which is about 7 to 10 days long. And this is where your hormones are rising and the energy builds. It's time for vision setting, creativity, and embracing new ideas. I thought this was just insane when I came to realize this. I'm actually in my follicular phase right now. Thank God. Because when I'm in my follicular phase, I feel vibrant. I feel free. I know that's when I can bust out about 2-3 episodes of this podcast. Thank you very much because I'm in my liberation. I'm in my motivation. I'm in my flow and I'm so excited about it. And that's the beauty of being in your follicular phase. This is the best time for brainstorming, starting new projects, doing that HIIT workout, visualizing your desires, and really being in the abundance of the flow of your passions and your creativity. It's such a exciting and joyous phase of your cycle. Ovulation phase, this is the fire element, like I said, and it's 3 to 4 days long. And this is the peak within your fertility. All right. This is when you can have a baby girl. And this is when estrogen spikes and your libido is heightened. This is when you're very lubricated within this area and it's time to put it down, but in a safe way. You know what I mean? In this phase, you become a magnet at your highest peak of potential. And this is your manifestation window and your moment in time where you can really focus on networking and creating pure connections and communication effectively and sharing your light with the world. This is when you are blossoming. You're this beautiful flower and that everybody is just attracted to you and you feel so liberated and you feel so free. The follicular and ovulation phase, they just go beautifully hand in hand because this is your peak time in the month. What did I say? 3 to 4 days of your ovulation and 7 to 10 days long. So that's about 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's about 11 days within the month that you good, girl. You know, and that's not a lot because when you get into the luteal and you get into the menstruation, you go a little further down, and we're about to get into it. But the follicular phase and the ovulation phase are two amazing phases within the cycle. And then we move into the luteal phase. So I like to describe the luteal phase as you were this beautiful, thriving, frolicking, flapping your wings butterfly, and then all of a sudden you're going into your cocoon. You're going into cave mode, and this is usually when we PMS, and we don't understand this transition within ourselves. So we're really hard on ourselves during these times of the month. And the luteal phase is anywhere from 10 to 14 days long. That is a long time, okay? This is where your progesterone and your estrogen are increasing, and you're preparing for this moment in time where you're going to cocoon and cave into yourself. And the energy of this is time for reflection, grounding, and assessing what needs to be processed, and really slowing down and turning inward. I like to do a lot of yin yoga exercises during this moment in time, deep meditations. I like to get into my clinical hypnotherapy sessions that my healer makes for me, and really just being intuitive, moving a little slower, reminding myself to have patience when I feel like eating somebody's head off. The luteal phase is a moment in time for pure sensitivity and really just holding sacred space for self. I like to focus on energy centers of the heart during this phase, my root chakra, my solar plexus, and really just shooting a lot of love and intention into these places where your libido can be affected, and you're just kind of in a place where you just don't really want to be around people, and you have to be okay with that. One of my really good friends, Riley, is actually one person in my life that is such a big mirror in a lot of ways. But when we were living together, she really showed me that sometimes you just have to cocoon and get that cake that you want to eat, even though you maybe don't need it, but like you just got to do that next right thing. And she really helped me understand that within me. So, the luteal phase, really having a lot of love and grace for yourself there. Your menstruation phase, your bleed, the water element, 3 to 7 days long. For me, it's 6, but this is where your cycle resets and you're shedding the uterine lining, hormones dips. It's a period of cleansing, reflection, and heightened intuition. And you're prioritizing rest, deep sleep, and emotional release, really allowing those feelings to come to the surface. I think if there's one thing that is repetitive within this podcast, it's really honoring the emotions within you and not shoving that shit down. I think I said it in my last podcast. We don't want to sweep things underneath the carpet and then walk around with lumps on our carpet. We want something smooth. We want to acknowledge the pain within and sit with those negative root emotions. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And reroute back to love. This podcast, whoever comes and lands here, it's really important that we're moving from a place of stress to a place of love. Because if we are operating from a place of stress, then we are manifesting from a place of fear. But if we're manifesting from a place of love, all of the beauty of what you're passionate and creative about is going to flow in so beautifully and aligned. And this is something that you really want to embrace within you during your menstruation phase, because you just want to sit back and have so much love for yourself and give yourself grace, because you are going through a shedding of layers and deep release. And that isn't something to take lightly. And it's something to take really seriously. And for all the people around you, when you're going through this moment in time, really asking for that grace and that forgiveness, and just trying to be a quiet observer to your thoughts and moving really lovingly here, because it's a really crazy moment in time. And you want to think about your phases of your cycle also in line with your chakras. And in the last episode, episode 5, we break down the chakras and how we can have this understanding within us so that we can have an unshakable feeling of love within us when we are focusing on these energy centers and noticing when they're activated, with pure understanding of how each one ebbs and flows and the definitions of each. And I really want to bring this and tie this back into the cycles of our womanhood, because it's super important. I think it's really fascinating and cool, and also helps back in the beginning with those intention words, really holding space and knowing what is coming up for you there. So your root chakra is all about menstruation. So this is your grounding, this is your anchor. And that is what you're focusing on when you're in your menstruation, really holding space for this loving part of your body, holding your yoni and just like really holding it and shooting so much love there. Rosie Reese, the woman that I talked about in one of my first episodes, she's the CEO and founder of Yoni Pleasure Palace. She has a beautiful meditation on her website. It's one of her e-products, her guided meditations, and her voice is so soothing. And she talks about cupping your yoni with your palm and putting your other hand above it so that way you can feel that loving embrace and touch of your yoni and really shooting so much love. Self-pleasure can be so much more than masturbation, like internal touch. It can just be that surface touch where you're just pouring a lot of love and intention into that part of your body. So I think that's really important. So your root chakra, menstruation, that's grounding. Moving on to the solar plexus chakra. This is your follicular phase chakra, okay? This is your creative expansion right above the navel. This is your motivating part of your body. And this is where it could be triggered or it can be embraced. And you really just want to focus on this part of your body because your follicular phase is where you have that creativity spark and you can really flow into that abundance and hold space for yourself because you have the energy too. Creative expansion, we love that. Moving on to the sacral chakra, right below the navel. This is your ovulation and your sensual, goddess-like, confident expression, okay? So when we're in this and we're ovulating, like I said, when you're ovulating, you feel like this beautiful flower that has blossoms. So you are liberated, you are free, you are sexy, you are just having such a beautiful time. Literally, I envision myself flowing on the floor. If anybody follows me on Instagram, I definitely am a dancer and I love to whip my head around to do some slow floor work, okay? There's nothing like a good floor work, head roll, okay? Back release, heart opener. So really tuning into this energy here, the ovulation, it's confident expression. And then moving on to the heart and throat chakra, which is your luteal. And it's crazy because in my last episode, I didn't even realize that those go together. And I was saying how they're literally, they're right above each other. And this relationship is more about reflection and authentic truth because when you're moving through your luteal and you're going through this, you're going into that cocoon. So that heart connection to that throat is really important because that alchemy is effective communication. How do you speak your truth to the world? How are you impeccable with your word? Back to the four agreements. Like this is a really important knowingness between these two energy centers while you're in your luteal because you have to hold sacred space within your heart so that you're moving with love. So when you speak your truth, it's authentic, it's pure, it's focused and neutralized, right? That's the best word I can think of because when you're in your luteal, very similar to PMSing, that's literally what it is. You're going into your cocoon. It's really important to be a conscious observer of your thoughts, slow down before you respond because it's more reactive. You want to be more aware so that you're not hurting people or spewing out poison or hate at others. You just want to be really, really calm with self and quiet, go slower. So that's luteal, your heart and throat chakra. So those are the phases of your cycle. And what's really cool about this is you can do something called cycle syncing. There's a book, it's actually called Woman Code. I'm going to show it to you guys. All right, I have the book right here. It's called Woman Code and it's by Elisa Vitti. I think that's how you pronounce her name. And it's all about perfecting your cycle and amplifying your fertility as supercharged for your sex drive and becoming a power source. I really love this book. I actually did a series on my Instagram where I think I posted a couple videos about what I was moving through within this. And literally you can see I've cooked with it. There's notes in here and it's just amazing. It really helps you get back in line with your cycle and going through it really helps you get back in line with your cycle. There's a cleanse in here that I actually did, which was really beneficial and helpful because cycle syncing is all about your gut. So you really want to align with your workouts, the work that you're doing within your life, and the self-care practices that you're putting into motion when you're going through the particular phase of your cycle and really tuning into your body cues and recognizing how your emotions, your cravings, and energy shifts throughout the month really ebb and flow and really really honoring your intuition. Your body whispers wisdom. So it's really important to be a quiet observer and just really be aware of what's happening within you. And within each one of these cycles, I really want to talk about the herbs and the foods that you could be doing and the activities so that you guys have a guide. So when you're in your menstruation, this is usually, let's say, phase one. Let's start from the period, right? You just experienced a bleed. While you're going through your bleed, the herbs that are super helpful that you can get at any loose leaf tea shop in your area. Two of my favorite places to get loose leaf herbs in LA in particular. There's one in Westlake called the Healing Tree. Absolutely amazing. Mo is the owner and Doug actually works there. He's worked there for a really long time. They'll make you a beautiful tea. You can actually sip on the tea while you're there and smell all the different ones. I absolutely love that one. And then Earth and Soul in Sherman Oaks, the owner of that shop. Her name is Bobby. She's absolutely amazing and just really important to support your small businesses, especially when it comes to loose leaf herbs. But getting into menstruation, the herbs that are really helpful are raspberry leaf, nettle, turmeric. These are really good elements to bring into your tea or your cooking. So that way you're enriching your life while you're going through this phase and this bleed. And some really good eat earthy foods are beets and root vegetables, seaweed, mushrooms, dark leafy greens like some collard greens with some olive oil or coconut oil if that's your preference, with like broccoli and some power greens, and put some salt and pepper on that. Ooh, girl, it's so good with some hemp seeds or some quinoa. Ooh, girl, I made that. It's called Mighty Greens. Avocado, dark berries, watermelon, red meat, shellfish, and seafood. Wild rice, flaxseed, and pumpkin seeds, a really beautiful list of really gut healthy foods while you're going through this. And basically, you just want to chill the F out. You just want to chill. You want to journal. You want to meditate. You want to evaluate and really just have nutrient dense food that are easy to digest so that you can detoxify the body. And really, when you're menstruating, it's really nice to take a break from caffeine. So that's your menstruation phase. And then after menstruation, you're moving on to your follicular phase, which is phase two. And this is where your hormones, like I mentioned, are slowly increasing after your bleed. So you're really unfolding from that cocoon, that internal cocoon that you just went in, that rest phase, and you're handling yourself with care, you're nourishing your body, soul, and you're beginning to adventure again. Like, think about that. When you are in your follicular phase, you're open and free to all the possibilities of your creative expansion. So it's really fun to get into some HIIT workouts, some dance, some hot yoga, some bars, some Pilates, whatever you feel like really good to get a good sweat on. You know what I'm saying? And then the herbs that are really good for this are nettle, basil, red clover, and licorice root. Really great ones. And this is a moment in time where you want to challenge yourself, try new things, activate, socialize, put yourself in those social groups that you may have been nervous about. Really challenge yourself to put yourself out there and make some new connections because you are in a phase that you're more open to it and they could be more successful. The foods that you want to eat during this phase are carrots, broccoli, peas, lettuce, avocado, citrus, pomegranate, lentils. Oh my gosh, so many good things. One of my really good friends, and just to say, her ebook, I helped her film it. She's one of my clients, is all plant-based foods, and she's a really good lentil stew on there. OMG. Her name's Nura. Okay. Nura Bikini Pro on Instagram. Really hit her up. And then mung beans, chicken, crab, eggs, sauerkraut, and flax seeds and pumpkin seeds. So this is really good things when you're going through your follicular phase. So phase three, after your follicular phase, I know we're going through these again, but this is also really helpful. Your ovulation phase. So this is your connection phase, your creativity. You're a magnet. You're inspired. You're blossoming. You are gorgeous. You are sexy. You're all the things. You're betting on yourself and you are taking that risk. Your energy is community and being super intuitive and open and all the good vibes, really. And this is a good moment in time to do group workouts, weights, running, high impact, just really challenging yourself to put yourself out there. Like, think summer vibes, kind of like you're just feeling free and full. You're just feeling so good. And then you're eating things such as tomatoes, pepper, eggplant, carrots, Brussels sprouts, leafy greens, asparagus, red berries, lentils, eggs, salmon, lamb, brown rice, sesame, and sunflower seeds. The herbs that are helpful within this phase are red clover, cinnamon, rose. I love rose. It's a huge heart opener. And when you're in your ovulation, you just feel so open. So it's really nice to give that warm, loving hug within tea, a rose petal tea. will change your life. Okay. Blue Lotus, I think that would also be a really good one. So, those are some of the things that you can go through within your ovulation. And last but certainly not least is your luteal phase. This phase is like, whoa, this one can really come out of nowhere, but this is your nest and attend phase. Okay. This is where you go lick your wounds, have a little bit more patience for self. Okay. This is your longest and your most varied phase, your transition from social butterfly to cave queen, and you want to organize both physically and mentally, and you're kind of thinking of like detoxifying, kind of like fall vibes, when fall is coming around and all the warm colors are there and you want to cocoon a little. That's kind of the mindset that you're going into. You just want to stabilize that energy and hold sacred space, and this is when like a vinyasa flow would be really nice, and yin yoga flow for me is particularly pretty nice because I like to flow really slowly and just sit deeply in those stretches. Pilates, anything really like low resistance. And the herbs within this is ginger. You could do raspberry leaf or a dandelion root. I love that during this phase of my cycle. And you can eat things such as starchy roots, vegetables, garlic, onions, pumpkin, citrus, apples, dates, raisins, chickpeas, beans, brown rice, beef, turkey, walnuts, sesame, and sunflower seeds. These are going to really help you during these moments in time. And I'm really excited for you guys to have these tips and tricks and this knowingness and information, because when I started to understand the phases of my cycle, it was like all of a sudden I felt so understood, seen, and acknowledged. And finally, like I said, you cannot look for that understanding and deep acknowledgement in someone else. It's important that you go through the knowledge and you take the time to understand it within you and how it connects to these energy centers in your body and the essence of your soul, so that you can have a pure connection to showing up as your best self and genuinely doing your best when you're trying your best to do the next right thing within this life. You know what I'm saying? So it's really important to understand the phases of your cycle, because it gives yourself permission to have more grace. And this is something I'm just now coming to. I probably picked up this book a year ago, and I'm still sitting here like having to remind myself, like, why am I feeling like a freaking crazy person? And I'm like, oh, it's the full moon. Oh, I'm in my menstruation phase. I'm bleeding on top of there being a full moon that's shifting my energy and my emotions. So you really just want to be a conscious observer of like what you're moving through within this life, especially as a woman. There's so many ebbs and flows of your emotion and things that are genuinely just out of your control. So really understanding these phases will really help you as you move through this moment in time. And I had a couple questions for the listeners that are on the Beaming podcast. Can't believe you're here. I'm so happy to have you. I really wanted to ask you guys, how do you feel like you could be the most aligned with your cycle? Is it genuinely just the knowingness of the definitions within them? Or do you feel like you need more support there? I would love to hear that within the comments. And then also, which phase feels the most powerful to you? I know for me in particular, it is my luteal. I have to remind myself during that cycle, since it's one of the longest, to have so much love for self and so much patience, because sometimes I could be a little impatient. So, like, it's really nice to have that awareness during that phase of the cycle. So, I'd really love to hear from you and just really understand how it feels to have this knowingness, and does it activate the power within you, and does it just naturally make you feel like, whew, I can finally take a breath. So, I honor the sacred rhythm within me. I'm tuning into the divine timing of my body, and I hope that you are doing that as well. And yes, I'm so glad to have you guys here. I know these episodes have been a little bit longer and a little bit more fact filled, but I really wanted to bring some of these concepts and ideas into my episodes because it really shaped the person that I am today and the woman I am today. And having the knowingness of my chakras and the phases of my cycle have really helped me have a lot of love for myself and helps me navigate my soul within this life. There's so many moments in time where you're going to get that next big event, but you are experiencing a very deep bleed and there's a full moon in the air and you feel disconnected from your root. And it's really important to hold so much sacred love for yourself when you're moving through that time. So that way, before the event, you can have a pre-event moment and really honor what's coming up for you so you can show up as your best self within that event, even though you are bleeding and there's a full moon in the air, babe. This knowingness will get you back to love. And will maintain the radiant goddess within you just by really nurturing this part of your body and understanding that your body goes through phases. So, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of the Beaming Podcast. Like I said, every single episode, I am so excited to have you here. And I know the souls that are supposed to be listening are here within this moment in time. And it just makes me so emotional dropping down and thanking you guys because this information is my life, it's my truth, and has really helped me reach alchemy within parts of myself that used to feel so hard to reach and felt like I was just going to exist there. So to share this information is such a gift, and I feel so honored to be the channel to give it to you. So I'm so excited. Thank you for tuning in. And if you want to connect with me on Instagram at Brittany Hope or Beaming by Brit. Thank you so much for joining me. Namaste.